Welcome to Notepad. I'm your host, Ibrahim Sani. We are still in the continuation of the conversation of not just Budget 2022, but of course trying to understand a little bit better on how the post-MCO recovery is going to happen and take place in a lot of sectors. Tonight, we shall talk about the hospitality sector. Joining us is Tan Ming Luk, the Vice President and Head of OYO Malaysia and Singapore. Ming Luk, how are you? This is an interesting conversation to be had because the last time I had you must have been 2 years ago or longer than that. And I hope that you have been keeping well.
No, I'm good. Thanks, Ibrahim, for having me on board again. Yeah, I think it was probably more than 2 years, right?
More than 2
Sometime
years.
mid to 2019. I think that was the last chat that we had.
At that time, OYO was like, was rapid fire growing. It was unstoppable. It was a juggernaut. But then, we're wondering internally, how do we stop such a mammoth growth for your company? And then the pandemic hit, and who would have guessed? 18 months, 19 months on, while the end is near, we're still not out of it. Was this the kind of crisis that you really expected to come? And perhaps could you share with us some of your trials and tribulations on working through this kind of problem?
Yeah, I think no one expected this, right? I think probably this is hopefully once in a generation pandemic, right, for all of us. Hopefully our kids, grandkids don't have to go through this again. Yeah, so when the lockdown happened, that was March last year, our revenues dropped significantly, right? Close to 90%, due to the strict movement restrictions. And the first thing that we had to do, and I think most companies, was quickly streamline costs to help us manage our cash flows. But having said that, despite all the budget cuts that we went through, we did not stop investing in our products and services, right? So that when demand returns, and hopefully soon, we can hit the ground running. At that time, we didn't know how long this crisis will last, and what we're going to do. But I think, like all businesses, I think the most important thing, we had to act preemptively and urgency, right, to reduce the impact to the business.
We really want to know about the kind of financial might that you have following this pandemic, not just OYO Malaysia, but OYO Group in totality. Late last year, it was reported that OYO had $1 billion in cash, because I'm pretty sure you guys have used that up. A report very recently by Reuters saying that you guys are thinking about an IPO upgrade. So how are things shaping up from internally, from your own cash might? Do you guys have enough to weather through this storm?
No, actually, we still do. I mean, we actually took, like I said, right, we did a lot of restructuring, kind of streamline our costs, and we actually, kind of stopped the bleeding. And actually, the other markets, like India, Europe and America, have actually seen quite a significant recovery, right? And that has actually helped cushion the cost impact, where the other markets are still, facing, recovery. So the IPO is just another milestone for us, part of our journey, and whatever.
Being the head of Malaysia and Singapore, how has these two markets compared against the other markets that OYO operate in Indonesia, in India, and others?
Yeah, as you probably read about, it's in the draft prospectus as well. I think we're in the top 4 markets in OYO globally, and how they derive what a top market is obviously how we perform, what our growth rates are, and also what our share of the market is, right? And Malaysia is, I can't really share the exact details, but
I understand
we're performing significantly better than most markets. Growth rates are still healthy, and our app user base is one of the healthiest in OYO globally.
We all are waiting for the travel restriction to be lifted, largely because we haven't been able to travel freely, mostly for the most of us in Malaysia, since the pandemic began in March last year. And of course, the big number that we need to look at is 90% of adults being vaccinated, complete vaccination. Latest numbers is I think 88% or 89%. We're going to cross that 90% very soon. Are you guys excited about this? Because personally, I'm a bit nervous. This is what I'm trying to share here.
Right. Why are you nervous?
I don't think that we are in the clear yet. We're looking at 8,000 daily positives. We want to ensure that while travel restrictions is being lifted, I'm not too sure about people congregating. Mostly, a lot of things, a lot of wrong things can take place. That's why I'm not too sure if this is prematurely going to be announced or is it perfectly fine. Those are my concerns, because I would rather err on the caution side rather than taking the vaccination number as is and then off we go.
No, I think definitely. I think those are on everybody's minds, right? Even guests, friends and family as well. But if you look at it, and look what the other markets with high vaccination rates are doing, right? I think they all are going to start living with it, right? With this virus, because think about it, vaccines are the only cure. There's nothing else to wait for. Maybe with the upcoming pill by one of the big pharmas that recently announced, right? But having said that, obviously, as you know, vaccines are not the cure-all, right? So, what OYO is doing, we're partnering with hotels to make sure proper SOPs are still in place, still enforced, right? Throughout the pandemic, even with all the high vaccination rates, we're still enforcing very strong SOPs, right? Like masks, sanitizing, and all. I think that will have to continue, even with the high vaccination rates. But we definitely have to start somewhere, right?
2 years ago, we spoke about you guys still on the growth stage. Are you guys done with that phase and now moving towards, I don't know what to call it, servicing the clients or the partners that you have? Or are you still growing some more, at least in Malaysia?
Oh no, we're actually still growing some more, right? For example, Southeast Asia, we added still a very healthy number of rooms, right? For the past 3 months, we added a couple of thousand rooms. Properties are still keen to partner with us. Definitely still in a growth mode, right? We're not stopping anytime soon.
Is it any different building a tech company during a pandemic as opposed to normal times, I suppose?
I think during the pandemic, it gives us a lot of time to engage with our guests and our partners, right? To hear, what their demand is, right? And it allows us, give us breathing space to help, build product and services that actually meet their demands. And especially during the pandemic, right? A lot of more people are, keen to adopt technology, right? Not just for our partners, but also our guests, right?
We will take a short break before we continue on our conversation with OYO Hotels in Malaysia. We'll be right back after these messages. Thanks for staying on with us. I have with me on the line Tan Ming Luk, the Vice President and Head of OYO Malaysia Singapore. Ming, we need to ask you a little bit more about the partnerships that you guys are building. There's a big news of you partnering with Microsoft, mostly using the Microsoft Azure, trying to understand a little bit better about how you can automate things, trying to use AI to their best capabilities and yours as well. Do you feel that this is a relationship that is one in many, or this is a partnership that you don't normally make, and there wouldn't be any more partnerships following this? You just want to deepen this particular relationship that you have with Microsoft?
So I think we're always looking for new partners to help us improve our product offerings, right? I can't comment with the other ongoing ones, but for this particular one, it's just still very early stage of a journey with Microsoft. But I think this partnership definitely help us, help our small, medium enterprise hotels, to basically equip them to manage their guest experiences, increase their revenue, run their operations more effectively, right? Using Microsoft's suite of products.
And of course, the public-private partnership is also quite interesting to be spoken of, particularly that of the state tourism bodies. How has that relationship been going?
Been very good actually. So during the start of the pandemic, there was a lot of demand, from government for self-isolation hotels, and we actually worked closely with, NATMA. All right, that was actually to target, you know, corporations, organizations that need to find self-isolation centers for their foreign workers. So that's one initiative. Then another initiative is we work closely with the Sarawak and Sabah, government to self-isolate, people flying into the states, right? Relationship is still very strong and healthy. We'll also partner with a lot of oil and gas firms, right, where they have very strict health and safety protocols, to help self-isolate their crews as well.
The future of hospitality is quite important to be discussed because when you guys first started off, you and many other hotel chains, budget hotel chains, and of course independent hotel chains and Airbnb and the likes, everything was actually quite bullish. People still want to bet more on this space, but after the pandemic, people are cautious. Folks like me, I can't wait to go for my own little holiday next week. But at the same time, you have no idea about the kind of, perhaps you do have some kind of idea, the kind of precautions that I've put in place, the kind of conversations that I've had with the proprietor, and trying to make sure that everything is safe, because I'm not traveling alone, I'm traveling with my wife, with my kids. It's trying to make it as fun but as safe as possible. So I don't know what the future of hospitality is going to look like. Maybe you can share with us some of your ideas and some of OYO's plans into or vision into what hospitality is going to shape up following this pandemic.
Yeah, so I think like I mentioned, right, definitely this strict health and safety protocols will definitely still maintain, right? I think we've seen, more hotels investing, in all this SOPs, right? And making sure their staff are vaccinated. Some of them are actually also testing their staff on a frequent basis. Investing in PPE equipment, sanitizing the rooms, before check-in and after check-out. All this will definitely still, remain moving forward, right? And also, I think a lot of them will adopt technology to ensure, contactless check-in and check-out, right? I think we'll see more of that, moving forward.
All right. One more break before we conclude our conversation with OYO Hotels. Thanks for staying on with us. I have with me Tan Ming Luk, the Vice President and Head of OYO Malaysia and Singapore. This is, of course, budget season. In just a few weeks' time, the Prime Minister is going to announce the much-anticipated Budget 2022. We kind of know the theme, which is, of course, COVID-19 recovery and COVID-19 building. We kind of know where the government's going to head, and we kind of know the kind of stimulus packages that might follow following this whole pandemic season. We've seen how the government has tried to help a lot of sectors, including that of hospitality, including that of tech, and billions of ringgit have been dished out, and we kind of know where the direction is heading. But at the same time, there could be some surprises that we need to find out as well, including that of some of the wish lists from the private sector. Maybe you can share with us some of your wish lists and some of your anticipation of what you think should be included in this year's budget.
Yeah, sure. I think we've been engaging with the government since the last budget as well, right? So I think, for us, I think most importantly is to restore confidence, to the entire population, right? That, it's, safe to travel. And, what that entails is, industry players can come together to work with the government in containing this pandemic, right? For example, implementation of standardized health and safety checks across the hospitality. I think that's very important. Government, spending money to shore up, health and safety protocols in tourism, landmarks. I think that's definitely required. So one is restoring confidence. The other one is, helping small and medium enterprises to survive, right? That will obviously involve financial relief. For example, what the government did with providing discounts for utility bills, subsidized wages. I think that to a certain extent has to continue. And the other spectrum is, spurring guests to spend more, right? For example, tax relief, digital tourism vouchers. These are the things that we're actually working with the government and pitching to them. And obviously, OYO is, always open to working with the government to help, to be a thought partner and also implement some of these initiatives.
So what kind of items that you have worked with the government and kind of work that you have implemented or is planning to implement, the kind of specifics that you can share with us?
So have not really implemented so far. So these are all the suggestions that we provided to them. And we're in constant discussion with them on how to shape this and implement this moving forward.
The kind of thing that involves hospitality is that it is, I don't know what to call it, maybe a hub and spoke model, because the hospitality could be the core, and then food and beverage, tourism, transportation, subsidiary services like the mom and pop shop that surrounds these areas. All this is actually revolving, and it's creating a very vibrant economy. Do you feel that it's actually quite crucial for the hospitality sector to continue to remain strong in order for all these other subsidiary economies to flourish, in order for us to recover from the pandemic?
No, definitely. Like what you rightfully mentioned, right? The hospitality industry really do help, the other supporting economies as well, right? Or industries, for example, transportation and food and beverage, and that really has, a multiplier effect.
Yeah, the multiplier effect, because I think if hospitality is not strong, or people are hesitant about the whole thing, I don't think it will work in terms of the economic recovery. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely, right? Airlines get affected, transportation, definitely food and beverage, tour agencies. So, all of us are, part of this whole entire industry. We're also interconnected. And,
right. So what can the public expect coming up from OYO right now in the next few weeks and months, perhaps even the IPO?
So we'll still continue investing in our product and services, right? Not just for our guests, but for our partners. That won't stop. And with the IPO, that will just give us more ammunition to deepen our investments, right? In our products and services to better help serve our guests and our partners.
So my final question to you is this: you I presume have been working from your home most of the time, trying to manage all these hotel chain in the country, in 2 countries even. Do you feel that this is the way forward? Do you feel that you don't need to go to the office to visit the site? How has work changed for you personally?
You're definitely not used to it. I still prefer, the face-to-face human interaction, and I think it won't be completely, work from home, right? 100%. I think if you probably read a lot of reports, are really figuring out how that looks like. But for us, I think we're going to adopt a hybrid work approach, right? At least for now. Definitely not completely work from home.
All right. All the best. I really wish you all the best. Maybe we should get you in the studio when all is safe and secured, not wait for over 2 years to have this continuation of this conversation with you. That was Tan Ming Luk, the Vice President and Head of OYO Malaysia and Singapore. If you've missed any part of this interview, just head on to astroawani.com. You can look for Notepad over there. You can also look for OYO. Until then, thanks very much for watching, and goodbye.